So basically just stick your head down. If it's something you really, really want and love, pursue it. If not, this probably isn't the game for you.
All right, and welcome back to The Price for Paradise. My name's Woody, aka Creston Woods, and with me today we have another return guest. And yes, you've seen him before. He was my first video podcast and probably 6 audio podcasts before that, if not more. Mr. TJ Houchin, welcome back to the podcast, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. You've been doing this a long time now, kind of getting into the later phases of it. It's pretty cool.
I know. It's finally I think we're 160 episodes in almost.
Wow.
And so
Consistency.
it's taken a long path and it's definitely grown throughout, but I'm glad I could get you on again, brother.
Glad to be someone interesting enough to talk to.
And we have some pretty big news as well.
I suppose.
TJ is making some big life steps. He's bought himself a gym.
Yep. Bought into ownership of Legendary Athletics. It feels kind of crazy actually to say out loud, but it's been a lifetime goal of mine. At least since I turned 18, I really set my eyes on that, knew it was something I wanted to do. And as of July 1st, signed some paperwork in June. As of July 1st, I'm 50-50 owner of a gym, working my way hopefully to a higher ownership percentage with my new business partner. So.
Dude, amazing.
Thank you.
And what he's saying is true. Like the second I met him, he's been wanting to own his gym and do this. He is a person that lives in the gym every day. He's here or up in Scottsdale. Mm-hmm. And so now what is it going to look like for you transitioning from being the head of all training and programs and stuff like that into an ownership program? Like what does that look like?
Good question. So to give you a little basis for people that don't know, I was doing 3 days in Scottsdale, 3 days in Chandler, which is a big bottleneck on business, trying to have that limited amount of time and service everyone. So what it's going to look like is I have 2 assistants we're hiring this week. I've had them as interns trained. They're awesome. So they've experienced with a lot of my clients. They're going to cover 2 days in Chandler. Carrick will be one of them.
Shout out Carrick, was on the podcast way back when.
Yep. And then the other ones I got to keep quiet because we haven't completely confirmed yet. So I'll just say that. But we have a lot of people in the pipeline and we're hoping to have more in the future. But I'll be in Scottsdale Monday through Thursday. I am now the COO and owner of Legendary Athletics. My partner will be CFO. So what that basically entails is I'll be running all operations. So working with the independent trainers, working with all the athletes, creating the programming, maintaining the facility. It's a lot of new responsibilities that I've always wanted, but now it's time to do it. It's been a lot of work so far, but this is the blessed challenge I've asked for a long time.
Yeah. So now that you've gotten to your paradise, what is that? Yeah. What are those little prices? Like it's just dealing with people. It's dealing with the top end stuff, right?
Yeah. And things happen. So this isn't calling anyone out if they happen to hear this, but the first day of me being owner, someone broke a window at the facility. We had a guy give his 2 weeks notice because he has some other things going on. Hopefully not because of me, but no, it's just been an interesting challenge. But I'm taking it on, bull by the horns, head on. And every time I get a little stressed about it, I remind myself that 25-year-old me would beg to be in this position, or would be like, please, God, just put me in. And now I'm here, And so, sometimes you got to sit back and realize it's a good thing too.
Yeah, you gotta be patient with it because it is, exciting and it's big, but you're into this really hard transition period where you need to focus and lock in, right?
Absolutely.
And so for you mentioned your 25-year-old self. Mm-hmm. And so what would you give advice to someone that was in your shoes back then? I want to own a gym too, TJ. Yeah. But what would you give advice for guys like that?
I would say this industry is a war of attrition. You're going to get broken down. You're going to feel like you're failing. It's hard to make money in this. You'll lose clients, gain clients. You need to continue learning. So I would just say, keep your head down and keep going through the rough times and the good. There's times where I've made the most money I've ever made and I'm like, oh, it's happening. And the next month just plummets or something happens where someone moves, something out of your control, or you get an injury and it's really hard to be on the floor. There's so many variables. So basically just stick your head down. If it's something you really, really want and love, pursue it. If not, this probably isn't the game for you.
100%. If you want to make money or you want to do these things really quickly, training is not the path. You need to be passionate about it. You need to go into it with that, this is my life mindset than, anything like that.
And I give my business partner credit on this. He was the owner of Legendary Athletics. Here you go. Plug. And he started it all on his own. He started at 32 years old, and He's built it for a while, very successful, but he went through a ton of ups and downs, and we would talk about that all the time. And whenever we'd discuss what he's dealing with, he'd go, "You sure you want this?" Because I always told him, "This is my goal. I want to own a gym." And I'd always say, yes. I think that I've kind of proven that to him by continuing to show I want these. Now, it's still stressful now that I'm here.
Yeah.
But I think showing him that I want to be like you in this realm. I want to learn as much as I can from you. And I want to be better than you, actually.
Yeah.
And I think he respects that. And I appreciate him for, seeing that in me and proposing this idea.
I don't think he would propose the idea if you didn't believe that you wanted to be better than him. Like, I think he
Agreed.
sees like your passion. Like,
Yeah.
I think that, why would you even give anyone that opportunity if they weren't that passionate?
Yeah, and it's the healthy competitiveness, that we always talk about.
Like why we made men's group. Yeah.
And today, while someone goes, "Can you read a body scan to me?" But I had a client and I said, I could read it, and I'm definitely better than Woody, but Woody can do it too.
Whatever.
Like being competitive about things that don't truly matter, but it's just the way you are. It's a lifestyle. It's not, a toxic thing. But
No.
you're also, I don't want to be average. I really don't want to be a regular person.
Yeah.
And so I think surrounding yourself with other people like that, having ambitious goals
And so do you think competitiveness is necessary? Like, I do think that a lot of guys that I have trained past their athletic careers tend to not have that competitiveness side of their lives. And that's why we started men's group. But like it almost is like the biggest part of it is like them feeling like they can, compete and being part of the game.
Yeah, I think so. I think that for me, it was being competitive with myself first. Because football was my identity. We've talked about, we won't go all into that. That ended for me. And for a while, I was in limbo of, what am I doing?
How do I get that itch?
And I was probably toxically competitive about things that didn't matter. Where now I'm competitive with myself every day still. And now a lot more of it is business acumen, like understanding business, understanding finances, which I have a long way to go. But becoming competitive in that nature, competitive in sales, in just being nicer to people, like communicating. I think it's very important. You just got to find that avenue of what you want to be competitive in.
100%.
Hopefully everything.
Hopefully everything, right? But take me through like what kind of gym is legendary? Like is it like Elevate? Is it like a member gym? Is it like an athlete gym? What are we talking about?
Majority is athletes. We are a boutique studio technically. It's about 3,900 square feet. So Elevate's 39,000. So 10 times smaller. But we have a lot of really high-tech equipment. You've come over and seen. We have a batting cage with hit tracks because we have a lot of baseball players. Yeah. So people who don't know what hit tracks is, it basically tracks your exit velocity. It gives you a big screen. You can put yourself in a professional ballpark, and it shows where that ball would likely go. So cool tech stuff. I don't use it much, but
bar speed cameras, like the Kaiser
cameras.
Machines are crazy.
So there's a lot of different things that are more specific to athletes where we can get metrics, and we can also set goals. Where we had a group the other day, and I put a goal on the iPads, so they have a display by their rack, and you could see everyone trying so hard to reach their goal because they're getting instant feedback.
And I think a lot of people don't like look at that part of lifting, like the acceleration of the bar and like the speed you're moving things, unless you're an athlete, right? And 100%. So like, but that it shows true athleticism when you're moving a bar, like a heavy weight for the right amount of speed, like
Absolutely.
That's going to translate way more to a sport than you. Yeah, I might be able to get up 405, but it took me 5 seconds to get there and I was shaking and it was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was interesting having this group where a couple of the people kept going up in weight, but they were missing their goal for the bar speed. They're like, yeah, but it didn't feel heavy. I'm like, yes, our goal is speed today. It's under this meters per second that I set for you to hit. You need to hit that before you go up. And funny thing is, when they started focusing on that, went back down in weight, then they were able to increase the weight. So, I mean, if you're asking what we have over there, that's one of the really exciting things that sticks out. But I would say we have everything that is required to be a good athlete. So we have metrics to give our athletes and coaches. We have strength equipment. We have plyo equipment. We have recovery equipment. So we have the cold plunge, sauna, red light therapy, compression boots, the guns. We have anything you could name. And then we also do 2 speed training days a week, which is crucial for every athlete. Speed kills.
Yeah.
So we're trying to cover every avenue of being a high-level athlete, in that small space. And I think Seth did a great job of setting it up. And I just am excited to see what I bring to the table with that.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I was going to say, speaking of that, what did you think that you could add value to in this gym already? Because it is an amazing gym to start.
Yes.
Like, right? That's the best way to buy into a gym that's already running and perfect.
Turnkey. Yeah, I think what I'll bring to the table is a different expertise in athleticism. Not that Seth and those guys weren't handling that, but I have a different specialty in that, I believe. A lot of my vertical jump training and my plyo expertise, I think, from my background, will transfer over well there. I've already been working with some of their athletes, and it's been exciting seeing some of the changes they made. They're already very strong. They're already very explosive, but dialing in some more specific movements has been a blast for me.
So you're speaking on changing almost the programming too,
yeah,
right?
I'll be running all the programming, yeah.
Yeah, and what is different than what they've been doing?
So Seth has a background. He was, I don't want to say intern, but I know he was an assistant strength coach at LSU for a while. And so he has a lot of the S&C background style, the general adaptation, which a lot of that I do as well. With my Benson sports training background, a lot of it was developed on movements and explosiveness and being athletic. So I think it's more focused on that while still hitting their general adaptation. It's just a different scope, right?
Yeah, a lens that you look through.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly. And it's not taking away from what he's done. We're adding another vision to it and another application on how to do so.
And where did you go to the Benson thing? When?
In my life. What do you mean?
Yeah,
Sorry?
the Benson training.
Oh, Benson sports training is where I grew up. Actually, where I started training, and it literally transformed my abilities. Scott Benson was like my mentor. Then I worked for Benson throughout college when I'd come home, and then after college I worked there. I think for 1.5 years or 2 years before I moved to Arizona, and so that really shaped how I trained and how I taught people.
Yeah, and so is he like one of your biggest influences? And like, are there some others like down the line so like many. That? But like,
there's so many. Yeah, I think Scott's my biggest. I took everything Scott did, and same concept. Scott's great. I want to do it better. I'm gonna take everything you've taught me, and I should be able to do that, right? Same with the people under me. I'm gonna try to teach them as much as I can, and they should want to be better and bring their own scope to it, because I'm giving them now. That's what they did for me.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to sound arrogant, like I'm the man, but you got to have a confidence.
You got to hand it down the line, right?
I want to hand it straight down.
And I think of my brother when we talk about this, because me and my brother are very competitive with each other all the time, right? I know he shows up to men's group and we're all trying to hit the same weights. Yeah. But a lot of times, like, I have to remember that I went first, right? And so like, when I make mistakes growing up and he sees them, he can learn from them, and he can, grow from them before he has to fail. And so I hope he's better than me. And I'd be kind of pissed if he wasn't better than me, and when after all wound up, I was a D2 baseball player. He ended up going D1 and pro. And so it was like really cool to see that. And I'm glad he did. But for a long time, I was fighting that competition. Like, no, but you should want better competition. You should want to push those people, and that makes you even better yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love being around people where when I talk trash to them, they don't fold, and they really know that I want the best for them. I care, and it's to bring the best out of them. Because if you talk to me that way, okay, you're gonna see, I'm gonna give it my best. I might not win. I'm gonna try. Yeah. And when I say win, it's not always a competition win versus lose, but win by improving, win by being better than I was earlier, That's
why I have a hard time going to like slow pitch softball, because it's like not competitive and like people are not caring, and I'm like over here diving for balls and going crazy.
Are you competitive on like board games and card games and stuff?
I'm competitive in anything you put, any realm you put me in.
For some reason, there's few things that I'm not, and that's one of the things where I just sit back. I don't really care to win, but almost everything else in my life, I'm uber competitive in.
Unless it's a game of luck.
Yeah,
because if it's a game of luck, then I'm like, well, I can't be too mad, right? Like the odds were not in my favor today. But aside from that, if I have control of any portion of that thing, I'm going to be as competitive as possible.
Yeah, and that's what we try to, I don't want to say breed, that's a weird word for it, but breathe into our athletes, where they come in, they know the expectation is high. They know that I'm going to coach you up to be one level higher than you are right now. And if you don't want that, then this isn't for everyone. This isn't, basic personal training, and there's no knock on that. That's fine. Personal training, in my opinion, should be that anyway. But I know a lot of people's personal training is more like their therapy, and that's okay. That's healthy. That's not really where I want to operate. I'd be happy to have someone work for me and do that, but I like to operate with those who want to level up their performance in something measurable.
Yeah, of course. And like, I work with a bunch of general population people, and I do want them to level up just as much. But at the same time, I'm willing to go not with with a non-athlete, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, I think that it's better to group all the athletes together and send them over to TJ. And if I get a really high level athlete, I'm probably sending them up to legendary. Like it is true, because I think that, I mean, even Maverick, he came to one of our men's groups and he saw what it was about up there. And he was like, dude, I need more of this in my life.
Hooked. Yeah.
He's hooked.
It's different, not better. It's different.
Yeah. And now you said 2 interns, but like how many trainers are you over?
This is a good question. I had a bunch of interviews this week. Right now, we're trying to figure out exactly how many we're going to hire. We plan to have more in the near future, but right now we're going to have 1 to 2 up in Scottsdale under me, and then 1 to 2 here in Chandler. So probably 4, with the plan of growing, by December is my goal, where I can kind of step away more and focus on the business with Seth, and have a few hours I train so that I can really enjoy it. Because to be in this position I'm in now, I'll be frankly honest, I have drained some of my, I don't want to say love, but my energy session by session because of how much I was doing. When really, if I minimized those hours and just focused on them, I think I would bring a different level of energy and focus. And I'm looking forward to feeling that again. When I was 20 years old doing this, that was every day, all day. But 13 years of that, it starts to wear down a little.
Yeah, you have a bandwidth and it gets cooked, but then you add more to your plate. And then now we have to create more space, right, for ourselves. And you also have to take care of your sleep and your body and all these other things. And TJ's been taking like a week off of training. This is like the, down week of the year. Crazy.
I don't know when I've done this in the past. It had to be when I was injured, I think. Yeah.
No, even when he's injured, he shows up to work out.
That's true. I'll probably train today, but it's been 6 days off, so crazy.
Wild.
It's usually my mental clarity, to work out. So I've had to find other ways. But, I've been trying to balance being hungry with being present and mindful. Because I'm just hungry, grind. Doesn't matter. If you feel shitty, keep going. You have to. Your goal's in front of you. Now it's like, okay, will I have more to give if I'm more present and mindful in that moment, as opposed to just being hungry for the next thing? So take some time, maybe go to yoga. Maybe go to like recovery.
Take a beat, go, take a weekend off and then come back and be refreshed.
And to be frankly honest, I don't feel as horrible as I thought I would about missing 6 days. I wasn't going to lift today, but I'm starting to get the itch. I'll probably work out. But you gotta see where you're at, and it's a season of life. You gotta move with it, So I think most people rest too often, but for me, I'm on the far end of that spectrum where you're always chirping at me. You're like, why not take a couple of days off? Or nope. But it's definitely been beneficial. So I'll call myself out on that one.
Hey, I'm not one to talk much either. So like I don't even give myself breaks. I know I tell people that it's like the 2 things I don't do myself is take breaks and get enough sleep. And that's probably the 2 most important things that I recommend to everyone.
It's easier to recognize it when you're not in the picture, when you're not in the mud. You're emotionally detached from it. And the picture is so much clearer. It's like when someone asks you for advice and it's so obvious the advice you should give them. But if you flip the roles, when you're in the mix of everything, it's really hard to get clarity and
so much
know
easier
what to
give advice than take it.
Yeah. And to execute on it. Yeah, it is for sure.
We talked about hiring personal trainers.
Yep.
And for those personal trainers out there, what are you looking for? And now, other than the passion part, because we already talked about that. The passion has to be there. And so, but like trainer skills, like what do they need to know?
We talked about it on a podcast with Luis. There's soft skills and hard skills. We can go super in depth on that, but I like to see a balance of both. An open-mindedness, and what I think one of the highest level qualities in a trainer is communication. You think of all the things, the knowledge behind the books, they're strong, that's all great. But if you can't communicate it to someone, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to pass that down.
You're taking a highly complex piece of material and you're going to give it to someone who has no background at all in what you're talking about.
Yep. And then a willingness to know that you're the authority and not be in an egotistical way. But I've watched trainers, watch someone do something wrong. I recognize they see that technically they can teach it better, and they don't, it's easier for me just to be like, good. Yeah, no, it wasn't that good. Now, you don't need to rip them. That's part of the communication skill piece where it's, hey, I want you to emphasize getting as quick as you can off the ground without changing your jumping pattern, not going so quick that our pattern changes. So that emphasis and being able to, that'd be a specific example of that. That's something I look for in trainers. And then you have to be hungry a little bit because the hours are weird. The pay is not good right away. it's a very challenging industry to cut your teeth in. And I talk to people all the time. They're like, I think I want to do personal training on the side. And I get where they're coming from. But when you do it every day, it's not what people imagine where you're working out with your clients all day. Like, oh, 4 sets of 8. I'm going to do a full set of 8 with my work weight. No, you're coaching. Well, maybe you work out with your people a lot. Psycho.
Sometimes, yes. Just the abs.
I look over and just shake my head until Woody makes eye contact with me when he's just hitting a lift with his clients all day, just working out all day long.
Those are my off days.
Hey, we have our styles. I love it. I like to make fun of you, but it's good.
But yeah, so soft skills, hard skills.
Soft skills, hard skills, high level communication, hungry. Willingness to learn is another thing. I think it's the biggest.
Well, that's why I think you like working with athletes, right? Is because athletes, they have a goal in mind. They're willing to learn, right? And so when I get general population people, they think they know everything. And then they've been living so long this way that when I tell them to make this little switch that's weird to them, it's very hard for them. But when an athlete, they'll do anything to be the best player on the field.
Yeah. And I think being an athlete, you've probably been screamed at before. You've probably been yelled at, and it's really hard on your ego the first few times and makes you sad. Why is he yelling at me? But you start to realize this person cares, holds me to a high standard. And I'll
not sugarcoating it.
No, and I'll throw myself under the bus. I coach football at Desert Mountain, and our head coach, he's a yeller, but he holds you to the highest standard, and he's always coaching. He yelled at me the last play of practice yesterday, but it made me think of my background in athletics. It didn't bother me one bit. I was like, you're right. I need to coach that drill better. This is why my athlete wasn't prepared to do that. So I just looked at him and nodded, and then I thought of a solution that we're gonna, apply. And when I was younger, it wasn't like that. I'd be hurt feelings thinking about it all week, But that's what the difference between a lot of Gen Pop and athletes are, and that's why people like hiring athletes in business, in the world, especially in the training world, because they have to be able to communicate that to other athletes, right? That they're working with,
100%.
And if say I get on them a little bit, they have to be able to take it.
Yeah, and if you don't set that boundary right away, it's a problem later because you're just going to have to keep dealing with that same problem over and over and over again. You need to get nip in the butt quick.
But me personally, if you've noticed, I'm a softie when it comes to that most of the time. I'm a quiet, I'll take you to the side and try to, intellectually meet you in the middle most of the time. If I have a large group where someone is, repeatedly making mistakes, it starts to change. But I'm not the yelling coach most of the time. I'm the...
pull you to the side.
Yeah. Just nice and quiet, talk to you.
One-on-one.
Might be a little intense, but I'm not yelling at you very often.
Yeah, just telling you the truth. And telling it to you straight, because it would actually be a disservice to you if I sugarcoated it for you, made you feel the best, right? That's the participation trophy mindset.
Yes. Some free coaching game for coaches out there. This is one of my favorites. It never fails, is when someone is complaining or saying they can't do something, or I go, oh, my fault. I'll lower my expectations. I had my expectations here. Do you want me just to lower the bar of what we talked about based on your goals? And people usually, like, no. It's like, okay, so then let's do what I said, Yeah. And it's because I love you. That's why. But
it's the price for paradise.
You don't have to scream at them if you can frame their thinking, and know that they know that you're trying to help them. It'll work.
And so why should we hire a trainer if I can go on ChatGPT and make a program right now? And actually, the podcast before you was with ChatGPT. So
what do you mean?
They did a great job. No, I put chat right here, and we talked, and Grok. But
you're kidding.
The training knowledge was unbelievable.
That's cool. Yeah, well, I think if you don't have a trainer, use ChatGPT. But it will never have that personal connection that you'd have with another person, where they're holding you accountable. It's not your phone holding you accountable or your iPad. And the programs they're taking are off of other people's knowledge. It's just a widespread, vast amount of it, which is great, right? I'm not taking away from it, but each person has individually had their own experiences that this will never have.
Yeah, like what if your client comes up to you and says, hey, I made this great program on ChatGPT, and it's saying different stuff than what you told me. What's this all about?
Have fun with ChatGPT. This is legacy. This is legendary. Our program is built to do the best we can to help you. Like I said earlier, in a negative way too, it's not for everyone. That's okay with me. And I think that's part of being genuine, is like, I don't need everyone as a client. I think I could help everyone truly.
Anyone who wants to get help by me, I'm probably all in for you. But
yeah,
if you don't need the help or don't want the help, then I don't want you as a client. Like,
if you want a little secret, I use ChatGPT to review my stuff now
all the time.
And so go ahead and go with ChatGPT, or you can go with TJ's experience and ChatGPT together. And I'm taking the latter.
Guys, AI is in its infancy, right? And so it's going to spit out a lot of generalized knowledge. And the fact that we grew up without it gives us that critical thinking skills that gives us the ability to know what's right and wrong on these, fitness type situations, because it's so nuanced to who you are as an athlete.
And that's the communication level we talked about, where if you're a good communicator, you're going to be able to provide information in a different way than reading it off of a screen, no matter how incredible these are.
Well, you can ask ChatGPT to be like, can you explain this like a third grader? And it will do it.
Well, and I use it for sales things, like pretend you're Jeremy Minor and tell me how you would respond to these sales objections, because it's going off of his books and his content that it consumes. But you're still reading it off of a screen, not having a human-to-human energy exchange, which I believe a lot in. Little hippie knowledge there. I believe all of this is an energy exchange.
100%. And I think, guys, you should definitely get on ChatGPT. And please challenge us. I think it makes us better.
Me too.
Yeah. So, I'm not against you guys doing that. I want that. I just think it's funny if you just don't come into it like, hey, I know more than you. Because
exactly.
Guess what? We both have ChatGPT.
100%.
All right, TJ. So take me through some experience of what it's like with some case studies with you, and some people that you've been dealing with lately, or in the past that you saw big points.
Okay, I have quite a few. Where should I start? Big David's a fun one. David was sorry, David, about to catch some strays from the old you. He came in real skinny, like skin and bones. He's I don't know if he's 6'9". He's tall as heck. All I know is that. He was a volleyball player, wanted to play in college. He came in, he had only just played volleyball, hadn't done much training. He was a little bit chubby with a skinny build. We put on a ton of muscle, I think 15-ish pounds on him, burned down his body fat. His vertical's gone up like 8 inches. When you're 6'9", that's a big difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was the player of the year for his team. That stuff always makes me so proud, because he was, I think I might walk. I'm not sure I want to play. So you're the player of the year on your team in 2 years. That's awesome.
Big time.
And that's not all me, but I do think it shapes your mind a lot, being in here, seeing the improvements, breaking down barriers. Now, when you go to your sport and you feel that out there, your confidence rolls. It's like a domino effect, and it just starts taking over. And so he's a great example of that. I have a general pop client named Matt. Matt came to me. He needs to get a more realistic framework on how this timeline works, because he's not happy with his results. But he's lost 20 pounds of fat in a little under 3 months.
What? And he's mad?
But it's not just me. He's eating well. He's going on walks in the sun every day with his dog. He's doing mobility training. He's doing everything that you ask him to do. But realistically, he needs to understand you're well above most people's results early.
No, a pound a week is fast. Yeah. It's so fast.
And you're going to lose more if you're a little more out of shape. You have more to lose.
Yeah, you're at the beginning stages. And a lot of it's inflammation and water, too, just from eating crappy.
Yep, but it's been absolutely impressive. And then Lauren Watson is a high school beach volleyball player. She's already the most type 2 twitchy athlete I've had in a long time. She's very... Oh, you helped her with her ab. I forgot. She... improved her vertical to 29.5 inches. And I make fun of her a lot, because I'm like, I guess you just don't want 30 that bad. I guess you're just not a 30 girl. But I guarantee you, if we get back to training the way that she was, she'll be a 30-inch vertical athlete as a high school girl. Pretty impressive. So that's up about 6 inches. Natalie Gilbert, I have a lot of beach volleyball girls. Natalie has been the most consistent, her and her partner Josie, the most consistent athletes I've ever had. And Nat has, I don't even know how much muscle she's put on, but her main goal was vertical. I think she's put 4 or 5 inches on her vertical, 4 or 5 on her approach. The other day, I think she squatted 275 for 3. And it's a beach volleyball player.
But she's not big.
No, exactly.
It's crazy.
I wouldn't call it a sleeper build by any means. And she's built a lot more muscle in her legs, but it's just one of those examples of performance type training. We're measuring these things, guys. We're not... This isn't you look better. Do you feel better? That's important, but I'm measuring metrics and output, and that's one of the reasons that I think we're successful with them.
Question. You mentioned feel.
Yeah.
versus numbers.
Mm-hmm.
What's more important for the athlete to worry about?
I wouldn't even say worry, but
Or think about.
focus on.
Focus
yeah.
on. Focus
just to
on.
clarify.
Yeah, just to focus on, not worry.
Focus on feel. I think that if you have a good coach and you're doing what you're supposed to do, that's me. That's my job. Focus on the metrics and the numbers. Now I'm going to relay those numbers to you as feedback, right? And I don't want people to be so obsessed with it, but feel is more important when you're playing.
As the athlete.
Yeah, and I believe it's, I don't know which, I don't want to say it wrong. It's one of these golfers I watched. He got a new mindset coach and he started performing way better. And they asked him what one of the main reasons was. And he said his coach would always ask him, how do you want to feel out there when you're playing? It was that shift, not like, okay, you're hitting the ball 300 yards like compared to 320. No, how do you want to feel when you're playing after you hit a shot? How do you want to feel? Okay, so let's try to find a way to feel that in practice. Let's try to find a way to feel that in training and just connect with your body. And so I think that's the athlete's job to focus on that.
And then it's the coach's job to figure out the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And what if the athlete is putting up better numbers than they feel? Like, so say they feel like
Happens a
crap,
lot.
but they're putting up great numbers. What does that do? Like, what do you do to that? Like, do you push them harder? Do you make them, or do you say like, hey, like, I know you don't have it today, but your numbers are amazing. Like, should you keep pushing?
You have to differentiate if it's a mental block or a psychological issue they're having, and they just don't really get it, or they have insecurities, or they're beating themselves up, or if it's genuinely they just don't understand. And then the other possibility is maybe they're not getting enough rest. Maybe they're practicing too much. They're playing too much. So I think a lot of variables and it differs.
If you don't sleep, your brain might not work right, but you might feel like crap, but you might hit your shit that day.
There's so many elements to it, right? So as a coach, that's what makes, I think, a talented coach is you break down each athlete differently. But I always start with intellectual because I think most people, it's mindset. Like they don't feel very good because they expect more. They don't understand how good their metrics are. Like Gordon's never been an athlete. I'll have to put a video of this up. Gordon would just throw plates on the bar. He had never trained before. I remember watching him put 225 on, and we're doing front squats zombie style, so arms straight out, and he's just ripping them. And I'm watching people go like this, and Gordon's a little, I don't even know how tall, maybe 5'4".
5'4".
He's probably 150 pounds, 140 pounds. He is strong.
Pound for pound, one of the strongest guys here.
Part of the reason, though, is he doesn't know what a baseline metric is, because he'd go, is that good? Is that heavy? And everyone's like, yeah. He squatted 315.
315, the dude's, like that's double his weight.
He realized it when he came to the men's group because he's always been working with my groups. So he hasn't really seen it around other people where everyone's like, what? That's Gordon's weight? And they're like, yep, he's going right there.
Like if you don't see what other people are doing, you don't even know how strong you are.
Exactly. So it almost was to his benefit, But that brings me to, there's also, I call them weight room warriors. It doesn't matter if you have the best metrics in the world in the weight room. And I love the weight room. So it's a kind of against me to say this. If you can't play on the field and you don't have the feel, none of that shit matters.
5 o'clock hitters.
You're a weight,
yeah.
You're a weight room warrior.
You look great on the BP. You're hitting bombs. Mm-hmm. You're like, dude can't hit a curveball.
The 2 or 3 strongest, most athletic guys, I wouldn't even call them most athletic, I guess. In my college experience, I saw them in the weight room before we got to the field, and I went, that's got to be our best player, or that guy. They were 2 guys that are never going to touch the field because they never transferred that over to the ability to play. So as much as I'd like to say we can do everything in the weight room, strength conditioning is a huge piece, but you got to be able to play. You got to be able to play the game.
Yeah, that's the one thing that golfers do really well is that they now it's the tide is changing. A lot of them lift and do all their stuff, but for the most part, golfers are so good with their bodies and they're so in tune with how it works. They don't lift because that would mess up their swing and they would do something. It would change things for them.
Unless your lifting was incorporated that way
on purpose, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
intentionally.
Yes.
We always come back to intention because that's huge.
Yeah, it's the massive. Like if you don't have intention on your reps, then you're gonna hurt yourself, and it's gonna be problematic. I had a kid the other day. He was lifting and he was looking at the TV, and I was like, "Dude, what are you feeling right now?" He's like, "I don't know, my arms." He's like, he didn't even.
I don't know, bro. I'm not sure.
He wasn't even paying attention, and when you focus on different parts of your body, it affects the lift. So like when you're doing a lat pull down, if you focus on your biceps, you're going to get more squeeze out of your biceps, more contraction out of your biceps. When you focus on your lats, you're going to get more contraction out of your lats because that is where your focus and your intention is, right? And so it matters to the movement if you're there.
Yes. And I think it's a balance of that. and focusing on the movement. Because in a lot of athletics, I want them focusing on a certain muscle because if we're trying to get a general adaptation, like getting stronger in our back and our lats or our chest. But more than anything, it's a certain movement that's going to apply to the field. So I want them focused on that movement quality and that pattern being solid. And then once we get that pattern, it's okay, now focus on your lat as you pull down and through, for example, right? And I think a lot of people are missing that. They come in, they're like, I'm doing pull downs. That's not intentional. That's very surface level training or working out, let's say.
Yeah.
Exercising.
It's great to set the routine, but you're not going to make any deeper progress without, adding some focus to your lifts.
Yes. And then we always play the gray area game here, but there's also those people that are so sport specific in all their movements that it becomes silly, performative. It's not actually going to help their performance. It's like they're doing a show. You know what I mean? So if there's a gym that I always beef with, I'm not even going to say their name, but they hate on a lot of the tools and things. And they say, why would you use cones? You're not going to have cones in a game. We're trying to set base movements and patterns before we move it to live action. It's a lot harder to adjust to another person and do it right. Now, we're not so cookie cutter following this template that you don't have freedom, but you got to figure out the art of what's in between that. And so I always argue, okay, so if a football player has guys trying to tackle him, why don't we have someone try to tackle him while he's back squatting? Good luck, because it doesn't make sense. That's not what we're going for. Yeah, a tool in the hands of a shitty craftsman is a shitty tool. A tool in the hand of a good craftsman, and it's for the right purpose, it's a very useful tool, no matter how simple it is.
Completely agree. I love it. And how do you make things translate to so what you're doing on the field work and on the agility work is creating subconscious patterns, so when they go to the game they have them in their back pocket, right?
Cut it loose, man. Yeah, that's something I wish I would have done better. It took me a long time to realize that, and I got a lot better when I realized you don't have to think about all the things that you were focused on in practice and training. Now we just go cut it loose, have fun. You got to be aware, but at the same time, if you've done it enough times, you've got the pattern, you've got it in there, go perform.
And that's where your confidence comes from the preparation in having all those patterns in your back pocket. But if you didn't go to practice and you didn't do your stuff, you don't go to the gym regularly, all these things, these other people have more patterns than you. And then they're more confident than you because they prepped more. Now, sometimes there's cockiness, and that's an overconfidence without the preparation, right?
Yep. I was one of those people that I did a lot of things really well in college when it comes to preparing. But mentally, what it caused me an issue is when something would go wrong, I'd be like, I did everything instead of adjusting and moving forward. Or someone that was out partying all week who didn't train, and they beat me in a drill.
They went 4 for 4 and they stole 2 bags, but still he was, out all night partying, and I'm over here getting to bed early and trying too hard.
So there's the psychology aspect of what I spoke about earlier with my gym ownership role now, is being present and mindful that this is where I want to be and this is fun, even though it's very challenging or when things don't go well. Like, it's a mindset shift. It's the same thing as when you're an athlete. Okay, I did everything I could. That doesn't mean I need to be obsessive with the result. You got to have a process mindset, and the result will take care of itself. And if not, adjust your process. We'll come back again.
Systems over goals oriented, right? So you want to create a good system so that you surpass your goals.
And I think
just end at your goal.
Exactly. And I'm sure you're not saying not to have goals, to be clear.
Goals are great. They're great baselines, but you need a system to get you there.
Correct. And that's why when you asked a question about why is it good to have a trainer, and we ramble off on other things, that's one of the reasons, is if they can create a practical progression for you that, one, they know works because they've seen it work with other people or themselves. 2, they know how to apply it and communicate it to you. You're going to be a lot better off than reading off of a phone of ChatGPT, or going in on your own and going, 8 reps feels good, or training to failure constantly. That's not a system based on science or experience. And that's why I have conviction selling it. Is I've seen, I don't know if I can say thousands yet, but it's been so many athletes and people improve utilizing my systems. And it makes me have genuine confidence and conviction when telling someone this works. Yeah. At the beginning, you got to get past your imposter syndrome and be open-minded. Yeah. But now I can say, this is going to work. Stick with me.
It's all there. Like, you can see your results. Like, there's already proven. So now we just have to, now the confidence is you've put in the groundwork. You've done the things. You've seen it.
Yeah.
100%. And now we let it ride.
Absolutely. Cut it loose, baby.
Cut it loose. All right, dude. Well, we're rolling up on the 40th minute mark. So we do only have 10 more minutes.
Ooh.
Any last topics you want to bring up before we get to the close?
I kind of want to ask you about, have you talked a lot on your last podcast about you and Chad?
No.
Okay.
We just talked with Chad before that we started our challenge. But
Okay, so what's going on with you? I know, but let the people know. How's it felt for you? What changes have you seen? Or what's the whole goal of this deal?
So this past month, I did a plant-based experiment. I went vegan, and I ate whole food plant-based, so no artificial sugars, no sugars. My caffeine was coffee, and I ate as many whole foods and plants as I could. And I was eating 4,000 calories, roughly, just short of. And I was eating maybe 150, 140, 160 grams, depending on the week, of protein. And over that month, personally, I went from 194
Little tiny guy.
185. And it was all water, inflammation, and fat.
Probably
And
some gut biome too.
I lost a half a pound or a pound of muscle.
Not bad.
Total in the whole month, eating a much lower protein intake than I normally do. I saw the best benefits were the gut inflammation. I was blown away by how lean I felt. Like immediately,
You look
like
it too,
pretty,
brother. I mean, they can already
immediately.
tell because you never wear a shirt, but you're pretty dang lean right now. You're looking sharp.
I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
And I had the beard growing out until the end of the plant-based so that I could shave it off, and so you could see the
You could
cheeks
see in your face.
because the cheeks came in a little bit.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's a lot of value in this diet. I did feel like my endurance went up a lot, and I don't know if I would say my strength went up any, but I think I retained it, right?
Yeah.
And I was in a cut, so like that's also part of that. It's hard to when you're never in a surplus.
Yep.
To push your boundaries out.
100%.
And I was pretty eye-opened by how much calories I was eating, 4,000 to lose weight. So that makes me realize that I was just under-eating vastly all the time before, and that was really hurting my performance in general.
And when you have a schedule to eat, it's a lot easier to follow, and then your metabolism boosts, and then you're actually hungry more often. Your stomach's expanded when it needs to be, so it's telling you, give me food. I've had to go through that too, and I've done plant-based for a couple months. Not the same strictness that you did, but I felt the same way when I'm like, gosh, and it's a lot harder to hit that calorie number without your meats and your all the additives and things.
Yeah, and so that was the part that I would say was the hardest part, was eating enough food. It was just the amount of meals I was eating was all day long. I was eating food, and I was eating snacking, and I was eating another meal, and I was snacking, and it was
I
just
feel like you're always eating berries or nuts every time I was around.
berries, nuts, shakes, and
Yeah.
potatoes and rice. Yeah. But it was a pretty interesting experiment for myself. But also, the reason we did this experiment was my client, Chad, he was on a couple episodes ago, is an oncologist. And so we wanted to do our case study on ourselves on like how this would be realistic for any cancer patient, anyone that wants to try it and have like a route for them, like create a process and a system so that they could follow it.
Yeah.
And now I am done. And we're coming off it. Chad made great results too. He put on 3 pounds of muscle and lost, it went down to 14% body fat.
And for those who don't know, Chad is an oncology doctor, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of his focus is on cancer and diet and how much it applies to that. So they're doing their blood work as well, right?
Yeah.
Before and after, so they can really understand, and see kind of a case study. I guess not kind of, that's what it is.
It is. It is a case study. And that's funny that you brought up the blood work because I want to emphasize how important sleep is one more time because
You can do 2 if you want.
I took 2 blood tests for the first blood test 3 days apart because I missed a couple of metrics, but I took testosterone twice.
The metric.
The metric,
Not
testosterone.
like TRT, yes.
No, I did not take any testosterone.
To clear. You're like, I knew it.
And when I took test number 1, it was on a Friday.
Yep.
And I took test number 2 on a Monday. So
Weekend. Were you
Yeah.
hanging out with me? Because I don't sleep very much.
No. That was a weekend where I got some sleep. So on Fridays, I'm probably running off, a couple days in a row of 6 hours. And that adds up and I get pretty lethargic. And my testosterone number on the first test was significantly lower than the after the weekend when I got
Was
good
it 3
sleep.
days, you said? 3 days apart?
3 days apart. So it was like
That's telling.
like 200 points different.
Ooh.
Yeah. So one, I'm like scared, and one, I'm like, I have great tests. This is great. Like, you know, like, and then so like I want to emphasize how important that is, that you might not see that your body's not working right when you're on lack of sleep, but your body's not working right. Like your hormones are different. Like your mind is different. Everything's different when you are not sleeping. And that is this is me yelling at myself to sleep more. And I'm going to focus on it more this month because of that.
Be accountable, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we're running low on time. I have a couple PSAs that I just thought about.
Let's go.
Because I'm running into it a lot. Coaches, stop having high explosive athletes or almost any sports running long distance constantly. If they're not a distance athlete, it's not going to apply that much. I'm hearing these coaches are having D linemen running 2 miles. What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. Just getting people tired is not the goal. And this is back to having a system in place. That old school mindset of just grinding it out. Like in high school, we would do the same lift 4 days in a row for football. It's just nonsensical. And you're actually hurting your athletes. All the hard work they do in with the independent trainers that you often, coaches, hate on and say, you don't need to go to that guy. Yeah, there's a lot of bad ones out there. And that's a red flag, I would say, that sticks out for coaches. If they have you running miles or distance constantly, it's probably not a good fit for your, especially football, basketball,
Baseball,
soccer, sprints, baseball.
Most sports that are team sports that you're going to have your kids play, you do not need to be training long distance unless they're a cross-country kid.
It's going to pull on their speed, their power development, their strength, their energy, and it's going to beat up on their joints more than it needs to. And honestly, there's other ways to build an aerobic base.
Yeah,
you need an aerobic base.
I'm not saying, and we're not saying you don't need an aerobic base.
Yeah, you can tell when we go on a mile run. I live on the far end of that where I need to do more aerobic. I'm not the extreme. I know that. Like we go for a mile run, it is hard for me. Well, we go in the middle of the summer.
It's like
Woody's an asshole.
118 and like we're running at 12 in midday.
It's ridiculous, this dude. He just likes beating me at something. That's what it is.
It's
but
fun.
Not for long. No, yeah. But my whole PSA with that is that's a red flag in your trainer and your coaches. You shouldn't be training like a bodybuilder as an athlete. Yeah, there's going to be some elements like that. You shouldn't be running constant long distance, right? Those are two of the biggest ones that I've seen, and it's driving me crazy.
Well, it's just like you have only a bandwidth for so much type of training, right? And so 80%
especially with all the
of
sports
it,
they play.
80% of it needs to be on that like quick twitch end. And then that 20%, maybe some aerobic based training. Maybe get on the bike once a week, or get that
tempo
go
runs.
for a long distance one once a week.
Run a shuttle.
Or get in the sauna. You know, like you don't even have to put anything down on that. But yes, like there is like time and place for some of that in the program, but 80%, like you need to prioritize the other stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, and this is why it's cool to be in a bigger role for me now. And I got to say, as an owner of a gym, which is so cool for me to say out loud, I'm really excited for the future, but I'm super thankful. A lot of people had to help me to get here. A lot. So thank you.
Yeah. Shout out to the gratitude for all the people that came before us. It takes a village.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel so blessed, but everyone's going, what are you going to do to celebrate? Nothing. Not yet. This is gas pedal time. But like we talked about, I'm trying to be more mindful of this is where I've wanted to be for a long time. But it doesn't feel like I've hit that yet. I think that's a good trait of mine, but there needs to be some balance in like being appreciative and mindful of, okay, this is a good deal. You know?
Stop and smell the roses a little bit.
Smell the roses and then get your ass back to work.
And then back on the grind.
Yes, sir.
What's the future goal? Like, so now that you are part in the ownership, you want to work your way to 80%.
Yep.
But like, what do you want to do?
So I want to work my way to 80% at this current facility. We have 3 years left on the lease. By the 3 years, we want to be at a certain capacity and revenue number that I'm not going to say, but we know where we want to be. And once I have bought Seth out to his lower percentage, we're going to rescale and do it again, 50-50. My plan would be somewhere in Chandler, which would be awesome, or Gilbert. Yeah. And so I don't want to put a limit or ceiling on it. Like we said, have a system and focus on the process more than the goal. But the goal is to be 3 years, be at a larger facility in Scottsdale, open up in Chandler or Gilbert and scale it there. And hopefully then I'll have licensing to teach coaches and have certifications under Legacy and under Legendary. And I want it to be a performance training system like we spoke about, where I can travel around and help coaches, do things like add into the systems, their testing metrics, help full teams, show how we scaled. First, we have to do it, right? But that's the long-term vision. And then after that, I'd love to just travel around the country reviewing gyms and taking videos, lifting at gyms and,
hopping on other podcasts and doing the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. While the system runs itself. But that's the long-term vision. And I'm going to get there. I don't know when, but yeah. And I hope it's sooner than later, but either way, I'm in there for the long haul.
We all know you are, buddy.
What about you though? Don't make this all about me.
Oh, what about me?
Yeah.
So what's my future visions and where am I going next?
Or what's next?
What's next?
Or are you in the mix right now waiting for that to become clear? Because that's a season 2.
Yeah, so like I'm in the pre-stage. So like I want what you have. Like your gym is like my dream gym. It has the little batting cage. I start swinging and like yeah.
Yeah.
But I do
Shout
want my
out
own
Seth.
I do want my own place. I think that the newbie is the future of health, and I think I really want to expand on the newbie, and I want to, hire other people underneath me and teach them what I do with the newbie, and expand that way as well.
Yeah.
Have trainers underneath. I want to scale the podcast. I want this thing to blow up. So guys, share
Help
it
us
to all
out.
your friends, and ideally, I think one of my best values is being able to bring guys like TJ onto the podcast and extract some of his knowledge. And so if I can lean into meeting more amazing people like TJ and like keep networking and pushing out this podcast, I can provide the most value to the most amount of people.
I hope you're so big time that I'm not allowed back on at some point. I'll be the small fry. That's cool.
You'll always be allowed back on, brother.
Thanks, brother. I
mean,
appreciate
how do you think we got there?
That's a good point. I mean, that's something that I will say that sticks out about you and that is very similar to me is that there's a lot of times where we were sitting holding microphones in a little shitty office that's used for 5 different things, terrible background, like honestly, and with the lowest quality mics, but we were doing it and you did it consistently. I come on as a guest. There's not a lot of work required for me. Just be prepared to answer Woody's questions, but you had to do it when almost no one was listening. You had to do it when you have to put it through all this effort and you're working all the time and still believe this thing's going to happen. And obviously you're not where you want to be yet, but look at where you're at now. Mm-hmm. So kudos to you, bro. But that's how you become successful in life and anything. If you really want something, you can't quit. That's where most people, when they get to the hard, that's where they quit. So when you get to the hard part, Alex Ramosi always says, good, now I know this is where most people quit. If I don't quit, I'm already ahead.
If you want to make money in the first 5 years of podcasting, you probably shouldn't be a podcaster. Same thing like training. It's,
definitely training too.
But dude, thanks again. This
Thank
is
you.
A pleasure, and we'll have you back soon, I'm sure.
To everyone, once again, thank you for everything you've done to help me be in this position, but we're just getting started. So thank you. Keep your eyes open. And I need some clients out there in Scottsdale. So I still have people here in Chandler. If you're interested at all or you heard this and it touched you in any way, pause. If you felt touched by it in any way, feel free to come check out the facility, see what we can do. I'd love to have more people in our community.
I love it. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for listening. Go share it to all your friends. We're on Apple, Spotify, and now YouTube. So we'll catch you guys next week on The Price for Paradise. My name's Woody, and aloha.
Aloha.